I am here looking at old pictures and videos of myself, and I wish I didn't feel so disconnected from myself, because I'm like, who the heck? Who the heck is that? But I am honestly working on healing. I'm working on healing. I'm healing myself and my relationship with myself and how I see myself and how I saw myself and who I am now and who I've always been but always suppressed and all those things. And you know, I was just watching a video of myself from when I was I was practicing What a Fool Believes on my keyboard all the way back when I don't even know, honestly. I don't even know when. I don't even know when that was, but I looked rough. I look rough. This has to be maybe well, if this is 2018, probably it's 2018, because I see in the background my terrarium where I kept my bearded dragon is gone, and that was the year that I met the most toxic relationship that I ever had been in. And after that, at some point, I got that bearded dragon, and I will always blame me losing that bearded dragon on him, because even though it was definitely my fault, I shouldn't have been on the phone with him anyway. I'll always associate the loss of my bearded dragon with him. But I was on the phone with him, the toxic person, after the fact that we'd broken up. I don't even know why I honestly was on the phone with him, but I went on a walk so I could talk to him. I also wanted to take my bearded dragon out with me, and so I put her, I believe it was a girl, I put her on my shoulder, and as I was walking, I was talking, and then I wasn't paying attention, and before I knew it, she was all the way down my back, and I felt her down my back, and I was like, wait a minute. And once I noticed it, she dropped down. I turned around. I was like, oh my God. Tried to go for it, and she freaking ran away. I don't think she liked being with me, unfortunately, but oh well. I was a very depressed person at that time, so I mean, if energy affects animals, I can see why she would want to run away, because the aura was negative 100, probably. Honestly, I guess I'm just kind of trying to come to terms with the fact that the last 13 years, I don't know, maybe the last 13 years, but the last 8 years of my life, trying to come to terms that the last 8 years of my life transpired, and trying to forgive myself for the things that I allowed myself to go through, forgive myself for how much I hated myself, forgive myself for how much I abandoned myself and fractured myself into so many different pieces, trying to be whatever I thought was acceptable to either God or others. Yeah. And then also just trying to accept myself for who I am right now. Trying to accept myself for who I was back then, and trying to accept myself for who I am right now, because at the end of the day, it's only been me and myself. And while it may be easier for other people to just move on and keep going and whatever else, I'm doing the best I can, but I know that people have gone through worse and are still going or whatever, but there's something about loneliness and isolation that really just eats away at you. I didn't have a bunch of siblings to take care of. I really didn't have anyone to take care of but myself. My needs were being met, but emotionally, I was unwell. Mentally, I was not good. Spiritually, I was suffering. And ultimately, there was just so much that I didn't feel like I could actually talk about. I thought there was something fundamentally wrong with me. I thought that the way that I was just on my own was unacceptable. And ultimately, I thought that if I could do away with most of who I was, that I would finally be happy because I would earn, I don't know, not earn, but I guess I thought I could accumulate God's favor by, I guess I thought the reason I was so miserable, depressed, and anxious was because I was just bad and couldn't make myself be obedient to God, or I don't know, honestly. There were things that I loved, like passions and interests that I thought I had to get rid of in order to be acceptable to God. Yeah. That whole denying yourself, dying to yourself daily, taking up your cross, and all that kind of stuff, I thought that included, I was thinking, well, I can't love anything more than God. But I love this and I love that, and these things really light me up inside. But when it comes to like the things of God, oh, it's difficult. When it comes to reading the Bible and praying, oh my God, I must not love God enough. I dealt with a lot of guilt and shame. And I am literally still trying to recover from all that. Like, I just know that nobody recognizes, nobody truly understands. Nobody truly understands what happened to me. I didn't even understand what happened to me for the longest time. And I'm still kind of trying to understand. I just was not a normal person. I don't think I was a normal person. I just wasn't. Something was wrong. I don't know. And not to judge myself. Something was the matter, but I could never recognize what it was. And it doesn't seem like anyone around me really recognized it either. I feel like onlookers knew something was off, but just couldn't put their finger on it. I needed a lot of help. And I guess because I seemed normal in some aspects and was enthusiastic when it came to things that I wanted to do, the issues I was having was not taken completely seriously by some who could have helped, some that others would look to and wonder if I was getting help. And, I went to therapy quite a bit, but then there were times that I felt like I didn't need it anymore because I thought I had God and God was going to fix it. I didn't need therapy anymore. I thought my biggest problem was that I was a backslider and I was sinning and wasn't being obedient to God. I thought that was my biggest problem. And now that I think back on all of that and really put it into perspective now, talking about it, I was traumatized. I was not well. It wasn't until I began to actually consider that I could have possibly had religious trauma, had endured religious trauma that everything honestly started to make sense. Everything started to make sense because I remember when I first heard of the term when I was a Christian, and I thought it was just, people going through church hurt, which I didn't take seriously because none of the Christians that I was listening to was taking it seriously, and I didn't even want to consider that I could have had religious trauma or anything like that because I didn't want anything to disrupt my belief system, or possibly, and that's kind of crazy that gaining more information and knowledge would be something that could possibly cause your faith to crumble, would possibly cause your belief system to be challenged, that you say so loudly and proudly that it is the way, it is the truth, it is the life. More information should not be able to shake what you say you know to be true. And, I'm sure there are people but at the same time that I say that, I just know it's because the only reason more information would not prevent them from continuing on to believe is because that's not what they want. They don't want to be shaken. So they're not going to allow it. They're going to ignore it and resist it and do whatever they have to do mentally to avoid that happening, because everything works by the will of the mind. Okay. If you believe something is possible, it's possible to you. If you don't believe it's possible, it's not possible to you.